Hi, everybody. This is Cindy with Magazine Mama, and today I'm going to be sharing how to teach a kids photography camp if you'd like to teach photography to kids this summer. So, if you're on, as soon as people get on, say hello in the comments and let me know where you are from. And I'll just wait a little bit to make sure everyone can see and hear me. So say hello and type your name in the comments because I'm not able to see if you just got on. I'm going live on my page and inside the group and on YouTube. So let me know where you are. Okay, and I see Kimberly's here from Colorado. Hi, Kimberly. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. So I can see comments in the chat. So I'll just wait a couple more minutes for more people to be able to come on. There's Krista. Hi, Krista. Thanks for being here. Okay. Krista's from Georgia. Hi from Georgia. Great. Okay. And Krista, you haven't taught yet, right? Krista and Kimberly. Okay. Have either of you taught a class yet or a camp yet? Let me know. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started while I wait for more people to come on. And just for those of you who don't know me, my name's Cindy. I'm the creator of Magazine Mama. Let's see, Krista says, no, she teaches a weekly homeschool group. Great. And teaching elementary drama and wanting to add photography. That's perfect. That is a perfect combination. And Kimberly says, yes, she's taught a few classes and has 3 camps still coming up this summer. That's exciting. Very good. Thank you for that feedback. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Here's some of what we're going to cover today, just a broad overview. What you need to get started for teaching a kids photography camp, how to plan your camp, and how to get students. And any of you watching, if you want to post questions in the comments, then I can get to them afterwards. And if you're still on afterwards, I'll go over answering questions as well. So first of all, why a kids photo camp? Why do you want to teach a kids photography camp? Let's see here. Post in the comments below, what's your reason for teaching? Krista said this, or Kimberly said the screen is black. Okay. Try refreshing your screen if you don't mind. And let me know if you can see me. Krista, can you see me? Anybody else has a black screen? So on my phone, it's showing. Let me check on Facebook again. Sorry about that, everybody. Okay, I can see my screen on Facebook and on my phone. So I'm going to go ahead and keep going here. So some reasons you might want to teach a kids photography camp is to, for example, share your love of photography with others, bring fun activities to your community. You can also use it as an indirect marketing tool to get more clients. And most reasons people want to teach a kids photography camp is to earn extra income, especially during the slow seasons. I always say that here in Arizona, where I live, as a wedding photographer, the summers would be the worst seasons for weddings because it's so hot outside. So that's when we would teach photography classes, simply because it's a way to kind of supplement the income during the slower seasons. So it's a really great way to do that. So I'm excited you want to learn about this. Um, First of all, let's talk about your why. Your why or mission statement. We're going to think about your goals for teaching, define or do your market research, and then define your camp structure. So a mission statement is basically, why does your camp exist? This is not really the goal. This is like what your purpose behind doing this. And some ideas would be to inspire creativity, to teach technical skills to others, or to help kids foster a love of photography, or to promote self-expression through photography. So kind of think about what your reason is behind wanting to teach. Then you'll want to set out your goals. And some of the goals can be the number of students. How many students do you want to have? And that's one of the most popular questions. How many students should I have to start out with? And I recommend, if you're just starting out, to start small with 10 or less, maybe 12 or less, but not more than 12. And even if you've never taught before, what some photographers have done, and which is really helpful, is start with people you know. Maybe you have some kids in the neighborhood. Maybe you have kids of your own and they have friends. Just, start with a few kids, a handful of kids that you know, and kind of do a test run. Um, I've also had people post in the group that say they've taught 18 to 20 at a time and it was too overwhelming. So definitely keep it small to start with. You also want to consider the goals, like how many clients that you want to have booked indirectly from this. Because think about it, parents who enroll their kids in photography classes and photography camps, obviously they think, it's an important skill to learn and it has an importance in their life. So most likely they're going to be the ones that hire you. And we had a lot of people come to our class that said they want to learn more about us, about our business, and it's kind of a way to connect with potential clients. Also, think about how many sessions. That means actually camp sessions. How many camp sessions do you want to do per year? And then think about your financial goals. So the financial goals is an overarching thing. Just start there and then go backwards to see, like, how much you want to charge per class. How many classes do you need to get to your goals? Then you want to do your market research and basically just look at the demographics of campers and camps in your area and think about what will make your camp different and stand out. And then decide what age and skill level that you want to teach. For example, do you want to teach the age of 12-year-olds? Do you want to teach teens? Will it be beginning or advanced? You can also reach out to parents in your area and conduct a survey. For example, maybe you have like local Facebook groups with moms or parents, local homeschool groups. Just post in the groups and say, hey, are you interested in sending your kids to a photography camp this summer? You can also ask them questions like, how much would you be willing to pay, to find out kind of what the cost they'd be willing to pay, things like that. So any questions you want, do your market research. You can also send out surveys to your current clients and see if they're interested as well. So you want to define the structure. That's the next step. Now, and then this is another popular question I get asked, how to structure the camp. And we're going to go over that in just a bit here, but here's some different options. You can have a full day camp, like just one day intensive camp. You can have a half day camp, several half days. You can have a week-long camp, or you can do a weekend. That's where you do, like, for example, every Saturday over 3 to 5 week span. I don't recommend doing longer than 5 weeks if you're going to do it that way, because people tend to kind of drop off and retention is not as great. You can also think about whether you want to specialize in something, like maybe you can have the camp be a themed camp, like focusing on landscaping or wildlife. Maybe you can make it about zoo animals, things like that. Just have fun with it. And then you can collaborate with other businesses and other camps. So, for example, let's see here. I've got some examples of some other photographers who have used my curriculum to teach these camps. And this is Jackie. She says she's used a camp curriculum for 4 years. She structured it as both day camps during the summer, week-long camp Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., and then she uses it as an after-school program Monday through Friday. She says she's even taught it as a workshop during March this year at a resort. And then she does weekday workshops to homeschoolers. So, as she says, it's very flexible. And the neat thing is that once you've got the curriculum, you can reuse it over and over again, as you can see from this example. And then here's another quick example of another photographer I interviewed. Her name's Kristen, and she taught at another kids' summer camp that her daughter attended. And what was really neat with her, in exchange for teaching photography at the camp, I believe her daughter got free tuition or a discount on tuition. And that's another fun thing you can do is trade services. And I really like to do that as well. Like my daughter has been to so many different camps, like from vet camp to zoo camp to a space camp, gymnastics camp. Like, as she was growing up, I always offered to, photograph the camps in exchange for free camps. So that's something on the side that you might want to do. So, you can do that. Think about this church camps, there's therapy camps, and they can integrate photography as a part of their camp. So just reach out to other camps in your area. And then another way you can collaborate is by teaching at local community colleges. This is one of the colleges in my area. It's a local community college. And I was just looking at their website recently. My daughter attended a culinary camp here. So I noticed they have a link saying teach for us. So there's so many different opportunities, whether you have your own camp, whether you teach for others. So I just wanted to give you some examples there to kind of get your brain thinking. Next, after you've defined the structure, your mission statement, the purpose behind teaching, you've done a little bit of market research, now it's time to plan your camp. So planning the camp includes these things. Selecting a location, identify the resources that you're going to need, create a schedule, and then pricing your camp. So let's talk about some of those things. Choosing the location. Here's a few things to consider when you choose a location. First of all, you want to make sure it's a secure location and safe, especially if you're dealing with children. You want to make sure it's easily accessible, make sure that there's no difficulty in parking. Make sure that there are nearby parks or businesses. For example, if you want to take the kids on a photo walk during one of the days and photograph outside at parks. You want to make sure that there's a park nearby, or maybe a backyard, or maybe a neighborhood. It's also nice if you can find a location that has other businesses in the area, because maybe parents want to drop their kids off and go have lunch or go shopping. So kind of think about that. Another thing you want to consider is, does the location have available equipment and tech for you? Is there internet access? Do they have PowerPoint, laptops, and the screens that you can cast on? Also consider if there's restrooms, because that's very important, as we all know, especially with kids too. Make sure restrooms are nearby. And then, will you need any permissions or permit slips signed? For example, if you're hosting the camp at a park. Like we have a train park in my area, and so it's a really great place to host this, and they require permits if you go there and photograph and have any events there. And then lastly, you want to consider the cost and the affordability of the location you choose. And here's some examples of other photographers who have used my curriculum to teach. This is Jenny at Picture Perfect Studios. She taught at a YMCA, and that was really good because if you teach at a place that already has foot traffic, they're more likely to advertise for you. And when it comes down to the insurances and permits, they'll already most likely have that. You won't have to have as much legal stuff if you choose a location such as that. There's also community centers. For example, we have a really nice rec center in my area, and they're always having classes and camps for kids. You can also have your camp at a co-op studio, and even other schools, other elementary schools, and then, as I mentioned, other community colleges as well. Next, let's look at the resources that you need. First of all, you're going to have a curriculum, and you have to decide whether you want to put it in a folder or have it spiral bound. I kind of like how it looks with spiral binding on it. It makes it more like a book. And what you could do is, like, if you have, let's say you have 10 campers, have them bound, have 10 copies bound, and keep the copies with you instead of giving them to the kids to take home, because you don't know if they're going to bring it back or they might get ruined. But that's what I would do. I keep it with you, or if you have folders, then you can pass out each lesson, each day, and then have them put it in the folders, have their name on the folders, and just keep the folders with you as well. And then each day of the camp, pass out the folders. Make sure you have little things like you might forget, like pens and pencils for the kids, a whiteboard or a paper that you can flip, because there's lots of different games you can do. Like you can do a kind of a hangman game, a win, lose, or draw type of game. And anyway, you need like a whiteboard to illustrate some things like the ISO and the apertures, different things like that. So you want to have one of those. And then I mentioned PowerPoint projection, laptop. You want to have camp marketing materials as well. And in my camp bundle, I include some files for posters that you can pass out, posters and flyers. There's two sizes. There's like an 8.5 by 11, and then one that's a 16 by 20 that you can post at local businesses. You want to also have your photography business marketing materials because, as I mentioned, camps are a great way to indirectly get clients as well. You want to have equipment and props that you can use when teaching the kids, how to photograph things, and props that they can photograph as well. When working with kids, you want to have a first aid kit because you never know, they're going to, fall and scrape their knee or get a cut or something, that you want to be prepared. And then you'll want to have a consent form, also a registration form. Those things are kind of different. You can have them sign their consent on the registration form, but you also want to have a consent form for any liability. And if you'd like, I have a sample consent form I'm going to give. If you are watching the webinar now, just type the word consent in the comments and I will send you a link to download one of those. And then lastly, the equipment. And this is another question I get asked quite a bit, is do we need to provide cameras for the students? Now, I recommend that you give the parents recommendations for cameras. And here's two recommendations that we came up with. For the older, more serious students, we recommend the Canon Rebel. And then for like the younger kids, we recommend I think it's called Lacran. I'm not sure. It's an off-brand, but it's got really good reviews. It's a point and shoot camera, and you can find it on Amazon. So even though, this is a side note, even though they are going to be learning DSLR photography, like, the aperture, shutter speed, and all of that, it's okay if they have a point and shoot, because the idea behind these camps is to get the kids interested in photography and getting them loving, photography, so they can still learn about the basics and the technical stuff. And they don't necessarily have to have a DSLR camera. It's nice if they do, but let's face it, with the kids, most likely their parents aren't going to invest in one unless they know they're serious. The older kids, like the teens, they may probably have a DSLR if they're attending, but for the little ones, probably not. And they can even use their phone if they want. But an idea that you can do, my husband mentioned to me an idea, is for these point and shoot cameras, they're so cost effective that if you want, you can include the camera in your price. Of course, this goes back to your goals. You got to see if it meets your goals and financial goals and everything. But you could kind of embed it in the price. So let's say if you charge 300 or 350 for the class, and let's say 350, and that includes a camera. That can be a selling point for people to sign up for the class to get a free digital camera, and you're still, got your $300 per student. So just some things to think about. And another reason that I like these little point and shoot cameras, especially the ones that come in black, green, or pink, because maybe your studio has branding that's similar to the pink or the pastel green color, and it would be fun to kind of blend in with your branding. So that makes it kind of fun. Um, the next thing you're going to need is a curriculum. And as I mentioned, I have one, and a lot of you probably have this already. It's got the pre-written lessons, registration form, the outline, activity sheets that they can do, card game files, scavenger hunt pages, a photographer badge template, which is really fun, and then, as I mentioned, the posters. You don't have to use this, but it's a done for you way, and it saves a lot of time. And you can use it kind of as a jumping off point, and you can add to it as well. So basically, it essentially pays for itself after you book your first student. And then finally, we talked about consent forms, insurance and liability to protect yourself, and if you have any assistance, and then the campers, permission and consent forms as well. And also, don't forget to have a photo consent form, because you will want to use the photos you take. Like, you want to take photos of the kids, and of, if you can have someone taking photos of you teaching the children, because it's great to use in your marketing materials for subsequent years. It's going to be really important for you. So I know I had a person ask from the UK about teaching in her home, what she would need, if there's anything she needs other than the insurance. And she also had a DBS, which is a background check in the UK. Those two things, as far as I know, is all that you're going to need for that. I know each location varies, but for the most part, that's what you're going to need. Here in the States, we're not required for that if we're teaching from our home, but we might get like a, f- a fingerprint, like, get that on file with the state and background check as well. That might give parents more assurance and more reasons to attend for your camp when they just feel safer. It's kind of a safeguard. And then let's talk about creating a schedule. So I'm going to use our curriculum just as a basis for the schedule for all these examples. So here's the topics that are taught and featured in the curriculum: history of photography, camera gear, exposure, white balance, composition, camera presets, and then the last one is types of photographers, where it explores the different types of photographers and careers that the kids can do. So if it's based on this, you can break it down like this. The slide kind of got messed up. Anyway, you get the idea. If you want to have a 5-day camp, Monday through Friday, I recommend having the history of photography and the gear lessons on day 1, exposure, ISO, aperture, and shutter speed on day 2. You can combine the white balance modes and presets on day 3, composition day 4, and then types of photographers on day 5. Then, if you wanted to have it over a 5-week period, like, one Saturday for, one day a week on a Saturday for 5 weeks, just take those 5 days and make them a week. And you can have it 1 to 2 hours a day, each day over the 5-week period. And then finally, if you wanted to do a 1-day camp intensive, like from 10 to 3, you can just break it up into those 5 days, make it 5 hours. Now, if you're doing the 1 day and you want to make it like an 8-hour day, just clock in some time for lunch there, or maybe make the shooting time a little bit longer. And so here's how I broke down the sessions. This is just to give you an idea for approximately 1 to 2 hours per session. And the number of students is going to affect the timing for this, because if you have feedback, or if they have questions, or if you have games and you have a greater amount of students, it's going to take longer. So here we go. So we start off with a welcome and the icebreaker, where you introduce yourself and have the kids introduce themselves. Then you will have the lesson review from the prior lesson. Now, on day one, you won't have a prior lesson to review. So, what I usually do during this time slot on day one is take photos of the kids for the badges, or present them with their badges. Then we'll have a photo sharing time. And again, on day one, they won't have photos to share, most likely, unless they bring it with them. But I recommend that you share photos that you've taken to kind of inspire the children. Then you'll go into the lesson time, introduce the new lesson, and then afterwards have a game or related activity to the lesson to kind of reinforce it. Then you can have a snack time if you want, and then the shooting time. And then after everybody goes and takes photos, then you can come back. They can share their photos, you can give them feedback, and then give them an assignment to work on until the next class lesson starts. And then here's just a few ideas and activities that you can sprinkle in to this session schedule. For the shooting sessions, you might want to assign themes, or you might want to have the scavenger hunt at that time. The themes can be based on what you're learning. Like, for example, if you're learning about rule of thirds that day or composition, you can have them photograph photos that show the rule of thirds. Or if you want to have a theme that day, photograph everything that's blue, or photograph everything like food related, just anything and everything. It's really easy to do, and it's a lot of fun too when you do that. You can have guest speakers come. The photo here by Ashley Blenko. I believe this is a real estate photographer that came and talked to the kids there. You can get even if you have a photographer friend, maybe a wedding photographer, a newborn photographer, anybody you can have come in and show their photos and take questions from the kids would be great. Then you can have group projects and assignments. This is one thing I know Kristen did when she taught at her daughter's camp. They put everybody into groups and they had them photograph kind of different, like, I think they had like things to show their emotion, like they would act out a scene and create a scene and photograph a scene. So that's kind of fun to get the kids involved in kind of acting too and role playing and things like that. I mentioned critiques and feedback. And then what's really fun to do is on the last day of the camp, have a gallery and a showcase. So invite the parents to the gallery and feature all the kids' photos. Like, you might hang them up on the wall, or even have a slideshow video of the photos as well. Parents love seeing their kids' work. You could even, if you wanted to, create a photo book and include that in the price, though, as well ahead of time, and use that as a selling point of the class. Okay, now let's talk about pricing strategy. So, how much should you charge? Well, you can generally charge more since camps have a higher perceived value. And most photographers that I have heard usually charge between $100 to $300 for the camps. It's usually more on the higher side of the $300. It depends on your area, of course, and what you include. Consider the cost of your rental location and printing materials and all of the costs as well, just to make sure you have a profit. This is Jenny. She taught a 10-week program. She charged $200 per child, and they met once a week for 45 minutes to an hour. And then she added the 2 weeks so that they could do their own photo project and have a gallery for the parents. And then here's someone else from the group who did a 5-day class for teens and charged $400 per person and had about 12 kids in the class. So as the kids get older, and as you'll notice when you do your market research, the prices of the camps usually increase. So take that into consideration as well. And then some things to consider for pricing strategy is the length of the camp, the location, activities that you're going to do. If you take them to the zoo or to a park and it has a fees for admissions, you'll want to include that in the price. And then the quality of the printing that you're going to do for the instructional materials. I also didn't include here advertising, but you'll want to include that too if you do any advertising and any poster printing or any flyers, handing out flyers. And then look at what other camps in your area are charging. That's under the market research as well. And then how much do you want or need to make to be profitable and for it to be a success for you? So, lastly, we're going to talk about getting students. I want to start with the resources that you have. So, if you have a current client database already, just send an email out to them and ask them if they know any kids that want to come. Maybe they have their own kids that want to participate, and say, let them know. If they don't, ask them if they can refer anybody or if they know anybody who wants to attend that has kids. You can also post on social media, obviously, your personal page, business page, post in Facebook groups, homeschool groups, and then reach out to local businesses that cater to families and kids in your area and let them know what you're doing. Maybe even collaborate with them, maybe even promote their business indirectly. Excuse me. And then finally, you can have a giveaway. Maybe give away one free camp scholarship, post it on your social media, and then collect people's email addresses in order for them to enter to win, and then choose a winner. And then everyone else who showed interest but didn't win, maybe email them with a special incentive and a special offer. And incentives can be anything from an early bird discount if they sign up by a specific date, to bring a friend free pricing. So have fun with it and be creative. So I hope you have learned some things from this training. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll wait just a minute or two to see if there's any questions on live. Okay. So let me know in the comments who is still on. We've got a few people still on here. If you have any more questions, I know I posted in the group about what questions that you have to post them, and so I try to answer them within here. Thank you, Kimberly. Glad you liked it. Thank you for watching through the whole thing. I appreciate it. And I'll be sending you the consent form as well. And Krista says, you feel like you can make it work for what you're needing, but it might be too much to type. Okay. I know, I think, was it Krista mentioned you felt a little bit intimidated at first. Let me know. I hope this helps to feel less intimidated. Let me know. But yeah, if you want to, you can, type anything for follow-up later in the group, in that thread that I posted below where you commented in the group as well, and I'll check back. I don't know how long I'm going to have this video in here, but just post in the group and I'll do my best to answer your questions. And Krista says, my students are at the co-op every week, so they couldn't just, okay, that's great. That's perfect. Yeah. So how long is your co-op? Is it like a whole month, like over the summer? How does that work? Is it the whole summer, or how often is it? Because that would be really great if it's longer than a 4 or 5 week period. You could have themed classes and sessions. That would be a lot of fun, actually. But yeah, definitely you could do it longer if it's something that they come to, the parents bring them to anyway. So yeah, that would definitely work. Okay, and Krista says, I want to take the outline you suggested and break it down and maybe spend 2 weeks. Yes, exactly. Yes, I like that idea. So how long are the co-op sessions? Are they 45 minutes, an hour? How long are they? Okay, so August through December. Okay, that's great. So it's like a fall semester and spring semester. Okay. Mm. Yeah, that would be really good. And since you have so much time, you could even go into editing the photos as well. And you could have like split it up into, you could have multiple galleries and multiple showcases, and you could have photo contests. You could do so much the longer time frame that you have. That's really exciting. And I know you're super creative, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to see what you do with this. That'll be fun. Yeah. So, and anybody else, if anyone else has questions. So about 30 to 45 minutes, you say the kids are there from 8 to 4, in and out of other classes. Yes, that sounds perfect. Yeah, 30 to 45-minute range if they're coming every week. That's perfect. Yeah, that will really work. That way you can have 2 weeks of, yeah, I think that works perfect. Um, in groups of 3 to 5. Yeah, that would be, then that would get a lot of hands-on experience. That would be really great. And then you could work with them, and then you could see their progress, like, from the beginning to the end. That sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm excited. Okay, any other questions? Yeah. Kimberly, do you have any questions? No. I know a lot of people were working during this time and are going to watch the replay as well. So I will post that for everybody who signed up. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and let's see. No question. Okay, great. Well, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. Thank you guys for watching. And I hope you have a lot of fun with these camps. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.